creators of Relevant Magazine, this is the Relevant Podcast.
It's Tuesday, July 9th, 2019, and it's the Relevant Podcast. I'm your host, Cameron Strang, and here with me in our Orlando studios on the ones and twos, our illustrious brother, Chandler Strang.
Hello.
On the Skype line from Loverland, Virginia, Jesse Carey.
Hello. Hello.
From Gatorland, Florida, Eddie Big Cat Koffoltz.
Yes, go USA Soccer.
And all the way in Nashville, Tennessee, Tyler Huckabee.
Hey, everybody.
The boys are back in town. Annie is on summer vacay. It was her birthday on Sunday. And so I think we're in the afterglow portion of her birthday week. She makes it essentially a state holiday in the state of Tennessee.
So. Oh, yeah. She has like a best of episode on her podcast. It's like a whole thing.
Yeah,
there's a big parade in Nashville today. She's not going to be here for it, but they've blocked off all the streets. Police are out in full force. It's a big deal here.
Yeah, and I just want to say personally, I think that there are very few better ways to honor the amazing U.S. soccer win this past weekend than 4 to 5 dudes sitting around talking about it. So we should really get into that.
Yeah, it was a big weekend for America. Sunday was a very patriotic day, it seemed like, on Twitter. Everybody's excited about the game.
I think everybody who listens to this podcast regularly knows that I'm a big sports head, as they say. I'm always into. I like all the sports.
Sportsman.
Football,
I'm a sportsman.
Basketball, I'm like if you've got a ball, I'm interested. I want to watch stuff. I love it. Yeah, I'm super excited about it. I just get hyped on all the ball games. But even for somebody like me, this felt like a really big deal. I had a lot of fun with it. I was out in full U.S. regalia at my local sport ball drinking establishment, and I had a real blast cheering for the team U.S.
What an incredible! I mean, that was an amazing. Even if, like, Jesse, I know you have feelings about soccer, and you know what? Save it.
It's just an inferior sport to every other sport. That's all. That's my only feeling. Continue though.
And this is absolutely the wrong time for that. But I will. But like, even if you're not a huge soccer head, like, this was,
like I am,
like, objection. Like, this was a great game, and what an amazing team, and what a moment. Like. I feel like it was unifying. The country was except for the executive branch, but mostly the whole country was pretty excited. Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of unify, I really appreciated all the, like, everybody celebrated in their own way. Obviously, we all had our ways of celebrating what the women did. But I saw something that I wanted to bring to y'all's attention here.
Okay.
This is a little bit of a visual, a visual slice. I apologize for that, but I'm sending a text. And I'll be interested for you. I want to hear you guys' thoughts on it. This was a image that was tweeted by Bleacher Report. They put together this picture to commemorate what the women did, the accomplishment of Team US, and it was up for about like a shooting star. It was up for about 20 minutes before they deleted it. Fortunately, I saved the screenshot before it was taken down, and I will cherish this forever because it is did you guys get it?
Yeah.
I saw it first.
Describe what you're seeing.
It is a painting. I mean, it's like a watercolor painting of a lot of people.
Yes.
They are there. It looks to be about 50 people or so. They are grouped in the colors and shape of the American flag.
That's
Again,
right.
a very painting style. In the forefront of it is Team USA, the women's national team.
That's right.
Soccer, the champions.
Makes
and
sense.
then there's about 40 iconic Americans. I don't know, behind them.
But not even all of them are
Not
Americans.
all of them.
As many people have pointed out, for some reason. Okay, here's the other thing. There are iconic people, but they're not like activists. These are not, there's a couple fellow athletes to Team USA, but many of them are random, just actors and performers.
Just a few
Several
names.
of them.
Let's just throw out a few names.
Several
Well,
in
here,
character.
I'll start with this. The entire cast of Modern Family, including the show's creator.
Yes.
is in there. But on the sports side, there's LeBron and Kobe. And then right in the middle, there's Kendrick Lamar, there's Jay-Z, Beyonce, Ellen DeGeneres, Brad Pitt.
The entire cast of
Oprah.
Friends.
The entire cast of Friends.
And inexplicably, Iron Man.
Captain America.
So
Captain America's
it's
back there
It's
by
not
Iron
Robert
Man.
Downey Jr.
No. It's the
Yeah.
only character, and the whole thing is just Iron Man. Whereas Robert Downey Jr. would have been, I guess Brie Larson is Captain Marvel.
But they also, some of them are like, that is clearly Tom Cruise in Top Gun, not
100%.
Tom Cruise, the actor.
Will
That is
Ferrell.
clearly Michael Scott.
Yeah, that's not Steve Carell. Yeah.
Obviously Michael Scott. But then some of them, like Brad Pitt is just Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
They didn't bother putting him in character. Same with Jennifer Lawrence. It's just Jennifer Lawrence looking at us. I don't know what the rhyme or reason was to determining who got to be in character and who was just their celebrity selves.
But what's interesting too is like I'm gathering that these are people who have defined or made America proud, maybe,
I think
like
so.
On the world stage. But if you look to the right on the second row, there's a number of faces I don't even recognize. There's a mustachioed gentleman. Who are those people? I see the Kim Kardashian
gentleman. Which one are you talking about?
I don't know.
There's a few
So I
mustaches.
see behind Kim Kardashian, there's two people from Modern Family, but to the left of them, there's a run of like 4 or 5 people that I don't know who it is.
Yeah.
I'm trying to
tell you,
see.
I really don't know. I'm trying to figure out who it is between Jay-Z and Kendrick Lamar.
Who? Okay, I want to know who's top right in that pork pie hat, because like the Heisenberg hat. Because at first glance, I'm like, how did photographer Jeremy Cowart end up in this American flag picture?
Maybe it is Jeremy Cowart,
because he's known for like I said, for lack of a better term, the Heisenberg. Everyone knows the hat I'm talking about here. It's black. It's a small, like fedora-like hat. And is that Jeremy Cowart next to Angelina Jolie? Why are these people chosen? And like, who commissioned this at Bleacher Report? Like, obviously this took some time. It doesn't appear to be slapped together.
It is
It's
true
not
insanity.
a bad painting. It's not
It's
a
true
bad
insanity.
painting, but it also is a terrible painting. It's one of the craziest internet things I've ever seen in my life, which is maybe what makes it so American. I also want to note that at a glance, Matthew Perry gives off some strong Michael W. Smith energy with the stare that he's giving. If you squint it a little bit.
I'm
not-
okay. Here's my theory. My theory is this flag painting of the iconic American figures, celebrities, existed. It previously existed by this artist. And then when Team USA made the country so proud, he updated it to put them front and center, that they are on the level of the kind of Mount Rushmore, cultural Mount Rushmore of importance to our country, as much as Beyonce and Ellen are. I think they're trying to make a commentary of how important Team USA was, but I don't think it's landing, is my point.
It reminds me of a tweet that we were tagged in over the weekend where someone said that their spouse was a realtor and they were showing a home. And in this, in the picture, they ran across this in one of the rooms of this home that this realtor is showing. And it's a very large painting in a very nice frame. There's nothing about it that seems ironic until you look at the picture, and it is a large, like, monkey, like an ape. And he's cradling a tiny Nicolas Cage, and it's hanging in this home. Okay,
A home that's on the market. They tell you to depersonalize your home when you put it on the market, but they did. They took away the family photos, the knickknacks, the tchotchkes. They minimized, but they had to leave the large monkey holding the Nicolas Cage painting.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just a real selling point. You can only assume that it comes with the house, or at least that can be negotiated as part of the deal. Because if you see a house and that's hanging there, it's just best not to ask questions. Just assume this has to stay. Legally, if I buy this house, I can never take this painting down.
Well, congratulations, U.S. women's soccer.
Yeah, he made us all proud.
We have a great show in store for you today. Coming up later, author and financial expert Rachel Cruze joins us. She's the daughter of Dave Ramsey. You probably know her. She was on Good Morning America yesterday morning and is continuing to make the media rounds, ascending in importance by coming on the podcast today. So Rachel Cruze is joining us.
I like to think that Good Morning America is our opening act. You know, like they kind of go out, get the crowd warmed up, and then she takes the stage on the premier platform, which is the Relevant Podcast.
It's part of our continued celebration of our 100th issue of Relevant. Rachel is part of the Life Roundtable, where we look back at kind of the big things that have changed in kind of intentional living over the last 15, 16 years, and kind of where things are and where things are going for this generation. Obviously, she brings more of the kind of financial career kind of stuff. That's what we talked to her about coming up later.
I want to mention one more thing from the weekend and get your guys' thoughts real quick, because I do want to, I know we got a lot to get to today, but when's the last time any of you guys have used the slip and slide? Cameron, I think I've seen one in your backyard relatively recently.
Literally Saturday. We have a hill that goes down from the pool to the lake, like this long hill, and I got this 50-foot piece of plastic, and we run it from the pool deck all the way down to the lake and soap it up and put sprinkler on it, and then we have these like little kind of blow up kind of things, and you just run and slide and shoot out into the lake. It's so fun.
Let me ask you a question, Cameron. Did you participate in the sliding?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. I have not done a slip and slide in probably 20 years at least. Yeah. And I was at a get together, and one was, someone put up the slip and slide. Now, Cameron, when you run and slide, are you just going bare body to piece of plastic, or are you using some sort of boogie board or something as a sled? We have
inflatable kind of sled boogie board things with two handles on them that you can run and jump like on your stomach onto. Yeah. But if you're going to go bare, you can slide and just kind of slide down in a sitting position and you're fine. Yeah.
Okay. Because I was very intimidated by the product, because I remember as a kid, like slip and slide's all fun until you slide over that rock, or you slide a little bit too far, and all of a sudden you go from sliding over a wet piece of plastic to wet grass to a dry concrete driveway. Like I've seen a lot of things go wrong with slip and slides, and that's all running through my head when I'm about to attempt this as an adult, because everyone else seems to be having fun and having no problem. And here's the thing, guys, you guys know me. I fashion myself as someone who has, very above average natural athletic coordination. I mean, you guys, this is apparent to anyone who meets me almost instantly. Yeah, almost. Yeah. Most people are physically intimidated, which is understandable. So I'm trying to get out of my own head. I'm like, this is going to be fine. Running full speed and slamming my body into the ground. How could it possibly go wrong? So I have that little inflatable sled thing, right? It's basically like Cameron, what he was talking about. It's two little handles on it. It's like like a sled that you pump air in, but this one had a leak in it and was slightly deflated. So I get up and I'm running full speed with the sled in two hands in front of me. And I go to dive down, and I can only imagine that this was, just if you repeated this a million times, there would only be one time it would go disastrously wrong. Every time, not only would I do the slide with incredible speed, I'd probably also do a couple barrel rolls or tricks on the way down the hill. But unfortunately, as I was running to jump, I stepped on the back of the sled, it was like running full speed and jumping with your shoelaces, except in that scenario, you can at least catch yourself with your hands. In this case, my hands are tightly holding on to the handles of the sled, and it is like I get tackled by an invisible linebacker, and it is straight hip to ground, it's like running full speed and just slamming your body onto the ground. Cameron, I'm terrified of these things now. It was a horrific injury. It looks like if you guys saw my hip right now, it looks like someone hit me with a golf ball right on the hip bone. It was awful.
The problem with adult slip and sliding is, in my mind, I still have the same physics that I did when I was 11. So I could take my little 11-year-old body, run full speed, fly onto the ground, and go for a little while. But now, within the last probably 6 months, I've done that same thing. The physics change pretty substantially when this man runs full speed, falls onto his stomach, and goes full speed, because I'm going a lot faster and the stakes are much higher, much higher, and much more painful.
The stakes are like, I could tear ACL here,
Oh, 100%. And I'm landing on my stomach. Like, there's a lot of weight coming down pretty condensed onto my stomach and chest. And I'm like, well, now I can't breathe. And I'm going what feels to be 100 miles an hour to the end of this. These slip and slides need to to be 100 feet, or I'm just going to slide off the end.
Well, literally the only thing like that is between me and my bare body in the ground running full speed is a thin sheet of plastic and water. That's it. Cameron, I'm surprised that this is something that you're comfortable doing, because
it's so fun. It's all about angles. You can't slam yourself down. You got to like almost like lower your center, your gravity as you're going. And then you just kind of gradually finish, going all the way. You're just like sliding. You don't like run and then plop yourself. You're
not
gonna
like
hurt yourself.
Simone Biles here. I can't be expected to do some sort of like crazy gymnastics,
what you're
lowering myself mid-run to like the.
You gotta get whatever. You guys, come on. The fun thing is when you have a bunch of children and they've all just done it, and they're gathered at the bottom of the hill at the end of the 50-foot slip and slide, and they don't know you're coming next because none of the other parents have done it, and so I fling my body at 30 miles an hour to all the 9 and 11-year-olds, and they fly into the lake like bowling pins. It was great.
That does sound fun. If I wasn't horrifically injured in my first and only attempt, then maybe I would try something cool like that. But I'm never doing one again. It was terrible. It was just awful.
The look of sheer terror on the children's faces as they see my figure flying at them at full speed was worth the price of admission. Yeah, it was fun.
The other problem with it is at this age and size is that the amount of water I needed when I was a kid was just like, oh yeah, we get it a little bit wet and we're flying. Now, if it's just a little bit wet, I am hitting that thing full speed at a full stop because my body is just like, and it's like I need a good amount of lubrication to keep the friction between my body and that plastic sheet going.
Here's a little pro tip.
If not, it just crinkles into a big mass and I'm just laying there with the kids laughing at me.
But see, I didn't go official slip and slide because those are going to be like 10 feet long. And like you said, they're built for very small bodies. I went on Amazon and found a 50-foot by 20-foot piece of plastic, like silicone, the same material, but it wasn't branded. Right. And then I just get my own sprinkler and stuff like that, like the little, $2 sprinklers. And it was way cheaper than some fancy brand and way bigger. And so it's like you can do a lot more damage. Eddie, little pro tip for you. Next time you do this, the kids, you're right, they don't need any extra lubrication. The plastic and the water's enough. For you, get a little dish soap, put it on your stomach. Like
Vaseline your whole body.
Yourself up.
There you go.
You just pour it on yourself, and then you go and you shoot
That's
up
right.
there. Yeah.
I am the slip and slide. A little graphite powder, a little Vaseline, a little bit of, and I'm out of here.
This sounds like something that youth pastor would do to like get the kids really worked up. Like, oh, he's putting dish soap on his belly. Watch out, kids.
Listen, if you oil yourself up enough, if you oil your body up enough, anywhere is a slip and slide. Like just like the mall. The mall, like if you walked in there, just all
wet
greased
and
up.
lubed,
just greased up in a bathing suit, and you just start running and just slide.
You're fine.
Everywhere's a slip and slide now, and there's just a greasy body stain running into Spencer Gifts, and it's like, how do I end up in here? This feels shady. I better get out. And then you run and you just slide away and go get yourself an Auntie-N's. Like anywhere's a slip and slide with enough oil and lubricant.
It's like the sled on National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. I'm just a flash of lightning just going to Wally World.
Just a flash of flesh shooting through the mall.
Screaming, help, help, help.
All right, moving the show along. Stay tuned up next. Slices. Listening to Flume. The song is Let You Know, featuring London Grammar. At the beginning of the podcast, you heard Taylor Swift with You Need to Calm Down, which is what the children told me as I was yelling at them as I was about to hit them on the slip and slide. Well, today's show is brought to you by Quip. It's a wireless electric toothbrush. It's lightweight and compact. It's perfect to take with you on your summer vacations and also at the house. The timed sonic vibrations and the Quip toothbrush give you a meditative break from all that jam-packed summer vacation. It's like a little 2-minute vacation twice a day.
It's like, Cameron, it's like getting away for a teeth massage in the hardest part of the day. You know?
That's right.
Listen, guys, I'm stepping away. I'm a little stressed out.
It's like
magazine, deadline. I need tooth massage. 2 minutes.
Hey, why spend all the money on a summer vacation when you can just do a staycation with a fresh and simple health routine? 3 out of 4 of us use bristles that are old, worn out, and ineffective on our toothbrush. That's why Quip brush heads are automatically delivered on a dentist-recommended schedule every 3 months for just $5. And Quip is one of the first electric toothbrushes accepted by the American Dental Association. They're backed by over 25,000 dental professionals and have thousands of verified 5-star reviews online. That's why I love Quip. I use it every day, and it's probably the best-looking toothbrush you'll ever come across. Quip starts at just $25, and if you go to getquip.com/relevant right now, you get your first refill pack for free with a Quip electric toothbrush. That's your first refill pack for free at getquip.com/relevant.
And let me just say on Quip's behalf, and they didn't ask me to give this ringing endorsement. Both, I love my Quip toothbrush, but also that American Dental Association endorsement. Yeah. Jesse has sent them dozens of ideas to get their endorsement, and every single one of them has hit a resounding thud.
That's a quality endorsement.
It's a high bar.
If you get them on board, then you're legit. Trust me on that.
Yeah.
All right, it's time for
Slices.
What do you have, Jesse?
All right. Well, this I guess what I got to for a deal with it, everyone. They're both very interesting. One is about how to get your license to become a mall massage masseuse. No, I'm just kidding. I'm always curious about that, though. The people that are actually giving the mall massages, like you sit back behind that chair that's right by the escalator and you just kind of lay in it and your face is down because it's such a shameful, weird thing to do. Like only serial killers get massaged at the mall just in front of everyone. Yeah. If you went to massage school and are a licensed masseuse, why you be in the mall one? Like, don't you want to work at like a salon or somewhere? Isn't it weird to just show up right outside the food court every day and just rub people right there? I'm just saying.
I don't know. Are they giving out those chicken samples in the food court? Because that just to me seems like a great job perk.
Like, are mall masseuses even, what are they called? Masseuse? What's the plural of masseuse?
I think we should go with masseuses, even though I believe it's
if you're a mall masseuse,
masseurs.
Yeah. if you're pursuing it, why the mall? Are they even licensed? I just have so many questions about it. And I don't know why I brought it up, but I feel like it just needed to be addressed. I feel
this
like
is not the slice.
I feel like it's been the meatball that's just been hanging out there that we've all been thinking about every week and no one's talking about it. Well,
you're finally talking about
the elephant is out, is free to leave the room, I guess.
We'll revisit it.
Yeah. Okay.
Come back.
All right. So I want to give an update. You guys may remember, I think this has been a couple years ago, but we talked about a device called the Mosquito. And what this does is it submits this like very high frequency sound that is meant to only be audible to people between the age of 13 to 25 years old. Apparently that's the window where your hearing is developed enough to hear this frequency, but you haven't experienced sort of the gradual hearing loss that everyone does, later in life. Now, the Mosquito is back in the news because in Philadelphia, people have installed, the officials have installed over 40 of these devices in the city's parks, near playgrounds and recreation centers. And they turn them on from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. every night. Now, the other places that were utilizing them a couple of years ago were like convenience stores and stuff. They didn't want people loitering, which I didn't know loitering outside a convenience store was something people still did. I felt like that was... I only feel like people loitered outside of convenience stores in the days where, disputes were settled by dance-offs. Like it seems like a very weird West Side Story thing to do, just to loiter, But so these are installed all over the city, and it's gotten pretty mixed reviews from people in the city. Obviously, young people don't like it. They were talking to, NPR interviewed people in Philadelphia that are in their late 20s that are actually having to take new routes to work because they walk to work very early. Some of these people walk to work very early in the morning and they can't walk by the local park because this thing is going off. And these people, are in their late 20s. They're 27, 28 years old. And they said that it's not even like a sound that you hear. It's like you're getting inflicted with like a headache at the moment. This is so controversial that in the Council of Europe, which is a human rights organization, determined that they are a violation of international law. And they said that they are inhuman and degrading treatment. They are neither politically acceptable nor consistent with the safeguard of fundamental human rights. And they determine that they are discriminatory towards people who are young. What do you guys think about the mosquito devices being installed in Philadelphia?
Don't think I have.
I'm marinated.
Yeah, it's a weird idea. Like, like I get like you don't want people hanging out at a park at night. And Cameron, you used to live across the street from a park, and you saw the havoc that can be reached by teenagers
Famously.
out there just doing what teenagers do in a public park. But I don't think like a sonic device is any sort of, that seems like a pretty drastic measure to take. Like, it doesn't seem like it should be legal.
There was a story like this a couple years ago about like 7-Eleven doing it.
Yeah,
so that right, of course. And that for some reason that seemed okay because so I guess for me, the line is private versus public property. Right. It feels like there shouldn't be any deterrent to any kind of person hanging out at a park unless there's really clear posted rules, I guess.
Yeah, but it's just a weird method to try to annoy people because you can't like control necessarily the proximity. Like you're just shooting this sound out in the air to keep people away. It just seems, like something counter to what cities should be doing.
The cities have done. Don't take this the wrong way, Jesse. This says something about the proximity of the city that you are exposed to. The bad parts of town have really annoying fluorescent lights to, in the shady areas, you know what I'm saying? So it's like the cities have done this for a while. If people are gathering in places that the city doesn't want, the city has used light, sound, different things. They've remodeled a sketchy part of, cities have been doing this, for a long time. I mean, so I don't think it's unusual.
But I guess it seems like there's a difference between like, installing bright lights somewhere in a dark area or like constructing things that will discourage people from like, falling asleep on a park bench. Like I can understand those, but this seems like, you're intentionally trying to inflict pain onto people. It just seems like a weird distinction of just like using design to make a space more public and, less opportune to do things that aren't approved to just saying we're just going to give people headaches that happen to be walking by.
And it seems like it's very easy to see that this could be utilized. I mean, it's one thing maybe to like annoy kids hanging out at a public park, but it's very easy to see this being utilized against like homeless people who don't have a place to sleep, who just want to sleep, and I feel like that's where it feels like it does cross a line to like kind of insulting human dignity in a way that I could be used in a worrying way.
Yeah.
Every major city does that too, though. I mean, they'll have districts of the city where sitting down on the ground is against the law, or obviously panhandling is against the law, and like like loitering is against the law, and they do try to push homelessness into certain zones. And I mean, cities have been doing this forever. It's just another tactic. I mean,
I agree with that. I just don't think they should.
Yeah, they're also the tactic of this seems. I mean, it's almost not a debate of like should they or should they not be trying to control different populations. It's like this particular tactic just seems like especially mean and just kind of sneaky. That's the problem with me.
And it just like I feel like it's like scary that there's a device out there that can cause you to like get a headache just by being in a certain location. That
being said, Jesse, what would you pay to be able to have one of these devices on hand to use whenever you feel like?
Just like a car siren. Like I can just go and it just blasts and I just watch, crowds of teenagers disperse, or I like chase around a bunch of punk skateboarders in my car. Right. That would be really fun. Now, if I could own a loud mosquito device, I would absolutely take one because 100%. It sounds hilarious. Okay. I want to do one more quick story. I felt like this one was pretty interesting, especially for our audiences. Just around the table real quick. How many of you guys ever consult your pastor about any sort of life advice? Just around the table. Eddie, do you ever consult a member of someone in professional ministry about life advice?
No, I don't.
Tyler?
I do. Yes, I do.
I think one time I did once. Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
One time Eddie did once. Okay.
I was lost and looking for direction. There happened to be a priest standing right there. And he knew exactly where to go. Very friendly guy. Cameron, do you ever consult your pastor about, advice for things in your life?
Advice? No, that to me, that's more of the counseling role. But to go get coffee, catch up, talk about life. Yeah. But I don't sit there and go, now that I have you, I have these questions for you. I don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. But Tyler, that's something that you occasionally will do.
I have texted mine and several times. Yeah. That was like, I don't know what to do here. What would you do in this situation?
Yeah.
What do you think I should do? Yes.
Well, it's interesting because that actually bears out in a new poll from the Associated Press that found that 3/4 of Americans either rarely or never consult a member of the clergy about things going on in their life. Only 1/4 do so at least some of the time. What's interesting is that even among Americans who say that they attend a religious service once or twice a month, or at least twice a month, which is about 1/3 of Americans. So only 1/3 are actually attending religious services to have, some sort of even interaction with people in ministry. Only half of those say they ever really consult a minister about something going on in their life. But they did find that people who do consult clergy members, there's one topic. There are two actual things that most often come up. Like there are two things that if you're going to consult someone in ministry about, statistically, it's about one of two things. Any guesses to what those are?
Yeah, like relationship
advice. Yep. Absolutely.
Yep, that's number two. The first is about opportunities to volunteer or advice about giving your time or money. Like people want to know if I want to help. Yeah. Oh, really?
That's all that. I mean, that was nobody came in to talk with me when I was in this role, except for getting more involved in the church, which was great. And relationship is falling apart, or we're thinking about getting married. Any advice? It was always. I mean, that was the go-to, which was a privilege to be a part of. But there wasn't a lot of other stuff. It wasn't a lot of small engine repair or stuff, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So this would bear out in your ministry experience.
100%. I was so grateful of the counseling background for that exact reason, because that was the whole deal.
And that's what's interesting, because you have a counseling background, but I wonder how many people in ministry, even that's something that's a major part of their training. Like a lot of pastors have a lot of theological knowledge and insight, but may not, have the same, I didn't go to seminary, but are topics dealing with marriage and relationships even something that seminaries have a big emphasis on? Because that seems this study seems to show they probably should, because that's one of the main things that congregants are going to want to ask you about.
Point.
I mean, traditionally, it's just a theological deep dive, which isn't bad, but you can take counseling classes or marriage and family therapy as an elective. But at that point, when you're in seminary, you probably don't have a full understanding of what it's going to be like. And so it really is just fully a theological degree. And then you end up having to learn the marriage and family and relationship stuff by reading a bunch of John Gottman books real quick when you first get into your role.
Interesting. All right. What do you have, Tyler?
All right. So this is comes to us from the world of publishing. I hope that doesn't get everybody to turn it off, but I did think it's an interesting story about some of the ways that Amazon is changing the publishing industry and how they are and are not meeting some of the challenges of the new business model that they've pioneered and the way that they've turned the industry upside down. So this story involves somebody who's been in the magazine a couple of times, Tish Harrison Warren. She's an author, an Anglican, her Liturgy of the Ordinary was published in 2016. A very, very popular, very well-reviewed book. And but now it turns out that over the last year, it has been the victim, this book, been the victim of a huge counterfeiting operation that utilized Amazon to sell over the last year, according to InterVarsity, the publisher, 23,000 illegitimate copies over the last year, or about $240,000 worth, which is about half of the money of all of that's being sold.
Yeah.
This kind of a different brand, this counterfeiting operation just photocopied her book, photocopied the cover, slapped it all together, sold it at a discounted price, undercut the InterVarsity actual price, and actually became the number one search result when you Googled her book. That's the one that would pop up on Amazon as the primary buy instead of the actual one.
What?
And the publisher, neither the publisher nor Harrison herself saw that money. And she's part of a larger scheme. She was not the only book that was targeted by it, but she was one of the larger ones, and also one of the one that obviously falls within our purview here at Relevant, because we've talked with her a number of times. So it's a really huge loss. And a New York Times investigation found that Amazon isn't really trying that hard to do anything about it. Obviously, there's such a huge operation at this point that they don't actually vet all these publishers that come through. Just a couple of weeks ago, it was also found that the number one, for anybody who was looking at Mein Kampf, the actual book is one that had a back of the book copy and a foreword written by a Nazi sympathizer. So they were buying, an actual Mein Kampf from somebody who was sympathetic to white nationalism and anti-Semitism. But in this case, it is the actual book. They are getting her actual book, but they're not getting the book that she published. So it's an interesting issue. Amazon can kind of wipe their hands of the whole thing. They say on their website that they don't allow knockoffs, but obviously when you're their size, there's not a whole lot they can do. They're not going to take the time to investigate every single book or product that comes through to make sure that the money's going to who it should be going to.
Yeah, I was going to say this is like a big weird problem with Amazon. There was an episode of the technology show Reply All a while ago where it looked at just how sophisticated counterfeiters are getting on Amazon, where it's really, really hard to determine if you're buying an authentic product or a counterfeit in a lot of cases, because as soon as like Amazon will shut them down, they would just start up a new account, and they actually have people working all the time that are setting, using IP maskers and things like that to write a bunch of fake reviews, and it gets really difficult to see if your buying is legit. It's crazy to see it happen with a somewhat niche book about liturgy, really kind of bringing this to the attention to people's attention. But that is like a risk of using Amazon sometimes. It's like, I can't touch it, I can't feel it. How am I supposed to know it's real?
I'm surprised that the bootleg industry, that's so ubiquitous in like handbags and high-end luxury goods on the streets of New York or markets in China or wherever. I mean, you can get them in physical locations. I'm surprised that those haven't come online the way you're describing, it has for these publishers. I wonder if that's going to be kind of a next wave of consumer products, like not knowing what's real and what's fake,
Yeah.
Because it's possible that they have. Like, I guess for all I know, when I find a good deal on but I don't buy a whole lot of designer bags yet, but maybe I'll get into that someday. And I don't know if I'm going to be buying a Louis Vuitton bag or just a very cheap, very realistic, even if it's just a little bit, like if it slightly undercuts the price of the actual thing, then it'd be easy to fool any consumer and they just think they're getting a good deal, not that they're getting a counterfeit. Yeah. And it's easier to do that over Amazon.
Haven't you gotten a few things though from Amazon in your like Amazon Prime life where you're like, this is exactly what I ordered, but it just feels less constructed or something.
I'm not going to lie. This slip and slide feels very dangerous, and it's like it's going to tear instantly when I slide my adult body on it. Sure enough, I am scabbed from head to toe. So thanks, Amazon.
I'm rolling through the grass.
Yeah, next thing you know. Now, to be fair to the counterfeiter, I shouldn't have put it that close to a gravel pit. But, lessons learned. No, but,
that's why you don't order from Doug's Slip and Slide.
Yeah. .uz. Yeah. Uzbekistan is killing it in the slip and slide game, guys. Now they smell weird. I'll say that. I got a headache when I open the box. It's Very plasticky smelling. No, but it's interesting because you've seen like these hybrid sites pop up in the streetwear industry. There's a website, StockX, where it's sort of like an intermediary where if you want to buy limited edition, shoes or a shirt or something like that is branded with Supreme or Fear of God or any of these brands, and you want to make sure it's not a counterfeit. If you buy through this website, the seller actually has to send it to StockX first, who verifies its authenticity before it can be sold. I just wonder how long before that becomes more of a thing for a lot of other products, not just like designer gear.
Yeah.
Because the way InterVarsity even found out about this in the first place, they weren't aware until a customer called to complain about the condition of the brand new book they'd gotten. They said, obviously, you can send it back in and we'll replace it. But when they got it, they realized this wasn't a book that we published at all, which led to a bigger investigation into all of it. And then,
sir, we haven't sold Mein Kampf for 15 years.
Yeah, it's weird because the last few chapters appear to be photocopied instruction manuals for slip and slide installation from a site called Doug Slip and Slide. Any ideas why she included that in the liturgy book? Yeah.
It's easy when you're to these bootleg companies. You get the pages just a little bit confused, and before you know it, Tish Warren Harrison's new book is all slip and slide.
All right. What do you have, Eddie?
Well, I just would like to invite everyone to subscribe to my new magazine, Relevance. It's a lot like The Relevant You Like. We're on our 100th anniversary. So very quick slice today. And this is just one of those stories that I love. But Ashley Barty, who is now out of Wimbledon, but did pretty well in the women's singles portion of Wimbledon. And of course, just to get there, she's one of the best in the world. She has been doing a lot of press. So, after every single they do press all throughout it. And there's just a constant press junket. And they caught on to something that she's been doing. She was asked at a press conference on July 2nd. She was asked kind of how she thought about coming to Wimbledon and how it felt to be in this grand stage. And she said, I kind of just came into it thinking, Hakuna Matata, just relax and go for it. And, they kind of smiled and thought, well, that's a nice, charming little answer. So then a couple of days later, Ashley comes into the press conference. She finishes and she was asked about her success over the past year and what it had been like to just, make it this far. And she said, in response to what the success felt like, she said, I chat with my niece and over again, she tells me that you can always just go to infinity and beyond. At which point, reporters started to wonder if Ashley may have some sort of... Jesse, you were going to say something?
No, I'm just amused. Continue.
Yes. And then so the press is starting to wonder if there's a pattern, but she's not letting on. And so finally, she was asked about her... She was asked about a specific choice of shot that she made within the match, and she replied, sometimes I look at a shot and I play the shot and I think the seaweed is always greener on someone else's lake. I try and think of how else I can win the point. Of course, she was quoting. Does anybody know what she's quoting?
Is that Little Mermaid?
Yes, it's Under the Sea. So it turns out they went back into her interviews, and for a good amount of her press, she quotes Disney movies within every single interview, real subtly, doesn't wink, doesn't smile, and is just super cool about it. And so I guess my question is, one, how awesome is Ashley? And two, if you were in a press conference, what would you subtly throw into each little press conference that would eventually, trace people to your motives?
Yeah, well, I've seen this go one of two ways. Sometimes it's charming and clever, like this individual, like this tennis player who's, nonchalantly putting pop culture references, something very specific in their speeches. But I've also seen weathermen do a whole weather report using old school hip hop lyrics, and there's nothing more cringeworthy. This is the worst. There's nothing more nerdy than meteorology. I'm sorry. Let's just face it. It's the dorkiest profession, because here's the thing about meteorologists. Okay. Meteorologists are under the impression they are very cool. It's one thing being like a lab scientist or something, or like, a mathematician, something that's like, okay, it's a little geeky. That's okay. I kind of own it. I wear a lab coat to work, everyone. Not the most hip profession ever. Meteorologists think they are just hilarious. Like, your job is to tell me what the weather's going to be like this week. Like, I have an app on my phone that has made your job obsolete at this point. Like, there's no need for this job to exist. I don't need to turn on TV at 11:30 at night to see what the weather's going to be tomorrow. Literally every electronic device, you can buy a watch that will tell you that these days, right? Like, there's no reason for the profession to exist. So for some reason, they're like, well, the other part of my job is making funny dance videos for Instagram now. It's like when the meteorologists are just, holding on to any type of thing they can do to be, irrelevant anymore. And this is the wrong way. It's charming when someone like an athlete does it. It's annoying when you see it filter down into the world of, local news and stuff like that, though.
I would also like to issue a challenge to longtime relevant listeners that there's a place for you in this story, and that if you can work into, if you're, be recording a sermon, if your sermon's being recorded, you can send us a recording of it and you just slip in
Listener of the week.
A relevant reference, anything without giving us, without winking into the camera. We just want to hear it. So send us your sermon, your announcements, send us your podcast that's just somewhere, and just tell us, at the 15-minute mark, there may be something for you to hear. I would be very impressed.
And the more absurd and inappropriate, the more likely it will be read on. It will be more likely we'll actually listen to it.
I think it'd be very difficult to do this off the cut. Like, I'm thinking about how, like, I think you could start out a little bit sly, but the seaweed is always greener. That is not a saying.
No,
that's
she
not
walked
a common,
in with that.
That's the one that gave up the game. And being able, it's one thing if you're a meteorologist and you have it written out, you got the teleprompter there, so you can type it all out ahead of time. Then you have to deliver. You have to go straight through just without being interrupted. Yeah. But she and other people, and like I see this happen in press junkets sometimes, they have to just react. Like, they have to find a way to sneak it into an answer. And I feel like doing that off the cuff, impromptu, would be very difficult. And I don't think I would do a good job at it.
You know what I've always wanted to try, like if I was being interviewed all the time, is to throw in old sayings that I just made up that makes no sense, and that just to see how many people just go along with it. Like, oh, that must be a thing people say. And I just say, how come you decided to go this direction in the book you're writing? Well, here's the thing, a bullfrog only croaks twice on Sunday. And so, listen, a cowboy spur doesn't fit on the left foot twice in a week. So, what my approach was, just how many things can you just say that make no sense, that no one has ever said? At that point, the jet ski just needed an oil change. So I decided to make a new direction for my life. Just say weird stuff and just see if anybody calls you out on it. Yeah.
See if anybody says, I'm not aware of that one, or they think you mean something different because there's no meaning for it. So they take the conversation a different direction than you're expecting. You said, you know what? Sometimes you just have to let the cat out the back door. They're like, oh, so you really went for it? And you're like, no, that means I didn't go. That means obviously I said no to the opportunity.
Yeah. Well, listen, what happens when you eat an undercooked pig? You don't get the bacon right. So the bacon doesn't have the sizzle. So, that's why I kind of told him, can we issue that for a challenge too? If you could just make up absurd old saying and throw it in to a conversation that you could let us hear somehow. Maybe.
But you know what? It's better if it kind of makes sense. Like you just said one that kind of makes sense. It's kind of like eating undercooked. Your bacon doesn't have the sizzle. That kind of makes sense if you're trying to make a point. That's the thing. Making up absurd non sequiturs, fine. Make absurd non sequiturs that actually could become a saying, a real thing. I like it.
Yeah. Do that. Yeah. Even better, it would be to try to do the thing where you start a saying and you expect the other person to fill in the last part of it. Like you see that happen in the movie sometimes, but you just don't. So you say, well, you know what they say? If you see a dog in a 10-gallon hat,
the canoe's probably got a leak. So anyway, what I wanted to Tyler, as we all know, weeds only grow on the left side of the shed when
When the nacho cheese tornado lands in Kansas.
There we go. That'll do. Well, that'll play. That'll play.
Anyhow, it was a pleasure. That's my slice. It was a pleasure to share this whole new world with you.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, you got it. You got it.
Nice.
It's
Not
all
that
and they
hard.
barely noticed. They barely noticed.
Not that hard.
You can't.
We all noticed. All right, that'll do it for.
Slices.
There you go. Stay tuned. Up next, Rachel Cruze joins us. Hey, thanks everyone for listening to this episode of the Relevant Podcast. Hey, while you're on your podcast apps, we got some other options for you. Check out our newest podcast, Relevant Daily, which is every weekday. It's about 10 minutes, keeping you in touch with what's happening at the intersection of faith and culture. That podcast is growing fast, and we love doing it. I think you should check it out. Also, season 2 of my long-form conversation podcast, Unedited with Cameron Strang, is about to come back. We have several notable ones in the hopper, and I'm excited for season 2. So go check that out, Relevant Daily and Unedited, wherever you get your podcasts. You're listening to Phil Wickham and Chris Kalala. Song is You Can't Be Stopped. Teaming up like a power duo. They can't be stopped. Look at that.
Well, Jordan and Pippen action there.
Wait, who's Jordan? Who's Pippen?
Tonto and the Lone Ranger. I mean, it's up to them to decide that. Batman and Robin. I will let the listener decide, but I will say this. Phil Wickham actually kind of looks like a young Batman. So I'll let them decide.
Yeah, I think Phil's Batman. I'm sorry. I don't mean anything bad by that. And I think Robin gets kind of a bad rap, but I do think Phil Wickham is the Batman in this one.
Although Chris Kalala's solo album from like 2 or 3 years ago is still maybe one of the best kind of Jesus-focused albums I've ever heard in my life. Just musically, lyrically, everything about it. It's incredible.
And Robin did good solo work too. So the analogy holds.
Hey, when you guys are talking real quick, when we're talking about like superhero duos, can I ask one quick question I was thinking about the other day that's really kind of bothered me? Do you guys mind? I know we got a big pod to do today.
Sure.
And we got a really good segment coming. But I was thinking about Avengers. I've only seen a handful, but I do know that one of them is Hawkeye and he just has a bow and arrow. But I also know that Tony Stark has like 1,000 Iron Man suits because they just fly out of nowhere. You think at any point Hawkeye's like, hey man, listen, I had this a little awkward. I don't know how to say this, but as I'm sure you've noticed, all I have is a bow and arrow. That's literally it. Like, we're saving the universe here. And here's just a little weird is like, you got like 1,000 suits, man. And I got a bow and arrow. Like, I kind of feel like you understand where this is going, don't you? It bothers me a little. It bothers me. Tony knows he's out there fighting robots to saving the entire world with a bow and arrow. And Tony Stark literally has an infinite supply of suits. Okay. Anyway, I'm sorry, Phil and Chris. I don't know who both of you guys are in that scenario, but it's something I had to get off my chest personally.
I think we are pretty clear who's who in that situation. All right.
Yeah, I think we are.
Like we mentioned, issue 100 of Relevant is out now. You can view it at relevantmagazine.com. And part of it was we did really fascinating conversations looking back at kind of the moments and trends that have shaped these first 100 issues in the last 16 years and kind of pivoting also to where we're going. Well, one of the sections, Relevant covers faith, life, culture, and justice. Well, in the life section, we talk about everything from money. Obviously, there's an economic collapse in the last decade, to careers and relationships and other things. And one of the experts that joined us for that conversation was none other than Rachel Cruze. Rachel Cruze is a best-selling author, speaker, and personal finance expert. She's also the daughter of famed financial advice guru Dave Ramsey. I wonder how much she likes that.
Before I included that in her bio, I saw that it was on her bio on her website, and it was like in parentheses. She was kind of self-aware about it. She was like, "Yeah, that makes growing up awkward sometimes." I was like, "Okay, well, we'll conclude it. If she can make a joke, then I think we can too."
I do think it's funny that Annie F. Downs is friends with Rachel, and they had like a girls' trip to Las Vegas last year. And I jokingly asked Annie F. Downs, well, I mean, did Rachel bring envelopes?
Yeah.
And the answer was unequivocally yes.
Yeah.
So
Smart. That's smart. Smart.
It's
gambling.
smart. She had her limits.
I don't knock her for it.
She had saved up a certain amount of money that she could play with. And then she stayed within that lane, and that's smart financial living.
And can I just say this too? I'm reasonably familiar with Dave Ramsey. I've met Rachel a couple of times over the years, and I'm familiar with her material. And I'm just going to go out and say it. I'm not trying to create a rivalry. I'm not trying to do for them what we did for Phil Wickham and Chris Kulala. But I really relate to Rachel a lot better than Dave. Rachel is very good at what she does.
Well, Rachel hosts the Rachel Cruze Show, where she helps her audience understand the roots of financial issues. And she's also a frequent guest on outlets like CNN, The Today Show, and even Good Morning America, where she appeared earlier this week. Well, like I mentioned, we spoke to Rachel for our 100th issue of Relevant as part of our Life Roundtable of Experts. And Tyler, you're the one who had the conversation with her. Tell us about it.
Yeah, it was. I like talking to her. I like talking to anybody who knows stuff about money because I know so little about it that it's just any chance to interview somebody who has any sort of financial expertise for this magazine is also just kind of a chance for me to personally get my own finances in order, which are otherwise ongoing disaster.
A lot of people don't know this, but Tyler had an agreement when he started working here that he can only be paid in gold shekels, and he actually has an overflowing pirate chest in his house, and that's his bank account.
You'll rue the day. You'll all rue the day when gold shekels finally come back, and you're all stuck with your worthless paper money, while I'm sitting here with solid gold, God's money,
a literal pirate's chest. Yeah.
But the first thing I want to talk about was, of course, I think sort of for a lot of us, the defining financial story of our lives is the recession and what the recession did. And a lot of the issues that millennials face financially kind of stem from the era that a lot of us were raised in, which was after the stock market crashed. So I wanted her thoughts on how the recession has shaped this generation. And she had a take that I don't think I'd heard anywhere before, but I thought was super interesting. Here's what she said.
The recession, honestly, I would have thought would have made a bigger impact on people's outlook for our generation, but it really hasn't because we've seen the debt levels continue to grow. Student loan debt has continued to rise. Credit card debt has continued to rise. And so my hope was that when it all went down, that our generation would look at our parents and have a little bit of a hesitation of thinking, something bad could happen. But factually, we're just not seeing that because debt levels continue to rise. And so the effect of that, though, is that our generation, people are saying they're getting married later, they're buying homes later, they're putting off a lot of life milestones because of their financial situation. And that is immediately tied towards debt, especially student loan debt.
That is really interesting. I feel like it's something that it almost seems like kind of counterintuitive because I feel like it's almost like, and that was one of the interesting thing about all of these roundtables, whether it was in the God, justice, or life or culture sections too. That, we try to be really intentional asking questions about how we got to where we were as well as being forward projecting. But that observation that the recession may have caused a lot of anxiety in our generation or the younger generation that was coming up and graduating college, directly following the recession, but it didn't make any dramatic changes to people's spending and debt habits. I mean, that's scary, but also kind of fascinating too.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting observation in terms of should the recession have had a bigger effect on the way that we spend, the way we save, and the way we utilize our credit cards and the way we navigate our own debt. I think you could make that case. And I think a lot of us also just didn't grow up with a lot of really great examples of how to do that because a lot of us weren't taught that because we didn't have a lot of financial responsibility modeled to us something which is obviously something
not
that
everyone grew up with Dave Ramsey stuff in envelopes full of shekels for our lunch money. So
I cut out all the talk about her excellent role model growing up because that wouldn't be relatable to most of us. But one thing I did want to know kind of along those same lines is I think there is a tension that especially a lot of us Christians feel about nice stuff. Is it moral to have nice stuff? Is it responsible for people, especially at a time where there's a lot of economic insecurity, to splurge for things that we don't need, but things that we want that might be seen as frivolous or exorbitant? And here's what she had to say about that.
Yeah, I always take the approach, it's okay to have nice stuff, just don't let your nice stuff have you. and your stuff can have you, if you go into debt for it, Scripture's clear that the borrower is slave to the lender. And it can have you if your identity, your happiness, your joy, your contentment, who you think you are is wrapped up in that thing. And so I think that there is a place that if you save up and pay for something and you buy it with the motivation knowing this is not going to bring me eternal joy and happiness, it's just a fun thing to get and I can do it because I've saved up the money and my heart is in the right spot, then I think there's definitely times that you can go and get, buy some fun things. But overall, you have to make sure those two things are in check financially, that you're in a good spot and that you're not dependent upon this thing or the newness of buying this thing to, fund your happiness.
Tyler, that's one thing I have appreciated about her perspective. Again, like she has her show and her approach to these topics. And what I really appreciate she kind of brought to the roundtable is like not just the practical element there, but also the deeper root. Like, look, if you're trying to fill a hole with consumer goods, like things that you purchase, it's got, not only will it come up empty, not only are there spiritual repercussions, but there's also like really practical ones. Like eventually, if that's your mindset, you're never going to be able to have enough to fill the hole. And so you're going to end up, suffering financially for it. Linking the spiritual issue there with the practical one, I think is really wise.
She didn't mention that the other potential ramification is you'll end up on a social media account shaming you for your purchase.
Yeah, we never got to that question, Cameron.
Hey, Rachel, what kind of shoes are you wearing right now?
Right now.
Don't you lie. They're off-whites, aren't they? Yeah.
But I think what you said, Jesse, is true. I think it's easy for people to focus on either one or the other, right? They either focus purely on the financial part of it, like can you afford X thing, X vacation, shoe, car, or they focus purely on the spiritual side of it. Like, are you trying to do something? Are you trying to fill a void in your heart? A very subjective question about whether you're just trying to impress yourself or make yourself happy with consumer goods. But trying to bring those two things together is something that she's done really, really well. It's something she talks about a lot, and I appreciate that part of the conversation that she brings to it as well.
And how that also, I really want people to like get the issue and check out this roundtable, because what's interesting is like her thoughts there. You can apply that to several topics that we talked about in the life roundtable. So like relationships, career, like if your motivation for moving up in your career is for some, deeper sense of like, purpose and fulfillment and identity, that really, shouldn't be misplaced. That should be something that God gives to you. Or same thing with a relationship. If a relationship becomes kind of weirdly codependent and your identity is no longer in your faith, but in a relationship, there's a problem. That's why I think what she said there is so profound, because it really goes into all the areas that we discussed in that roundtable.
And that's kind of where the conversation went too, actually, because I think career, especially moving forward for our generation, for even the next generation now, is going to become more of a what is the future of career look like, and particularly entrepreneurialism, because everybody knows we're the entrepreneurial generation, right? And I was curious about what she thought, particularly in light of how much that is becoming more and more of a thing for people our age, starting their own businesses, being entrepreneurs. Where does she see that going, and how does she see it as being different than where we came from? Here's what she said about that.
I think that's one thing that I appreciate about our generation is we really do focus on like what's your why with what you work. Like, are you in a job that you have passion for? Are you in a job that you love? We really hold value to that. And again, the extreme side of that is not good, where millennials are walking around without jobs because they haven't found their quote unquote dream job. There is a reality. You got to work and make money to live. But I think we do value our talents and our passions in the workplace more than past generations.
Yeah, I think that's something we've observed a lot of over the years. It just from the content side, producing stuff that people want to read. A lot of, I think there's been a lot of like past generations where it's like, look, at 5 o'clock work's done, and that's when real life kind of starts. I'm not saying for everyone, but I do feel like there has been a shift with our generation where they want, their passions to be a part of their job. Like they don't want this like necessarily this like separation in a lot of ways. You know, if they can get it, they want it to be part of that passion and calling.
And like she alluded to, that's easy to overcorrect on that, right? Like to work so hard to find that job that you're passionate about that you never really land or feel safe or comfortable in a career at all because you're concerned there's something else out there, kind of like scrolling through Netflix where you never start playing something because there might be something else down the road you're looking for. That can be a problem. So it's about learning how to be responsible with your passions. Tons of people in this roundtable had a lot of really good thoughts about how to bring your passions to your life, to your day-to-day life in a responsible and fulfilling way. Those are all on the issue, along with Rachel's thoughts. I was really glad to be able to talk to her about this and glad to talk to everybody else that we talked to as well. It was a great conversation.
Yeah, check her out, the Rachel Cruze Show, and also in the 100th issue of Relevant. You can view it right now at relevantmagazine.com. And hey, if you're so inclined, support the cause and subscribe. Okay, stay tuned. Up next, it's Ask the Cast.
And I remember you told me that we could work it all out, don't you worry. And now the tears in your eyes make it blurry. But if you say try again, I'll be ready. I'm ready.
You're listening to Mark Ronson featuring Camila Cabello. The song is Find You Again. Okay, it's time for Ask the Cast. We've done this enough now. I think we should officially commission
Jinglefy it.
our illustrious brother to make a jingle for Ask the Cast. So maybe on the next edition. All right. So we went online. We asked you guys, or we scoured Twitter. We looked for the questions you guys sent us. You tweet us at Relevant Podcast, questions for the cast, and I will lob some of them now. David asks, guys, my wife recently gave birth to twins. Now, she's not a fan of me performing experiments, but it seems like a perfect opportunity to raise them in the same environment, but with subtle differences and observe
100%.
the results.
I love it.
So his question is, what subtle experiments can I get away with and how?
Well, I mean, I think the obvious one we're all thinking is one of them should be raised and only be spoken to with a British accent. I'm kind of curious to see if one comes out a little bit more British. But I mean, the opportunities here are really endless. Yeah, I like how he prefaced it, like as if this is a conversation that he and his wife had, like performing experiments on their children, because she's not a fan. So I feel like it also has to be somewhat subtle. Eddie, what are you thinking would be a good advice for David?
I have an idea in the meantime.
They have to be subtle. Now they have to be subtle. It can't be like obvious, like, hey, we're going to push you towards sports and you towards school, or we're going to give you twice the food portions of the other one. You can't do that. It has to be subtle that he can get away with it and the wife doesn't notice.
Okay. This is going to be difficult, but I think you could pull it off.
Yeah.
I think you could do sort of a reverse this new Yesterday movie in which a man wakes up in a world that never knew who the Beatles were. I think you could do sort of a reverse subtle version of this in which one child is aware of the Beatles and the other one you keep all Beatles music, influence, and paraphernalia away from him, and see how true that movie actually ended up being to one child's experience.
Yeah. Or how about this? This one isn't, well, it could be subtle. I mean, they make pretty subtle eye patches these days. One of the twins gets an eye patch on their right eye, the other one on the left. And the theory that I'm working with here is that the other eye will go very, very strong, right? To compensate for the eye that is under the eye patch. In a few years, you may have a set of twins that have two eyes that have supervision. I think the science there would back me up, because Eddie, you know what they say. If the toilet's still running at midnight,
you got to get out of the house because you got a whole flood. It's terrible.
Yeah. Then the chicken coop is the only safe place. That's the end of the saying. But continue. I'm sorry.
Obviously.
You butchered it, though.
Obviously.
I would love for you to gently tell one of the twins that they were actually born a year before the other one, and just never let up on that and see how it works. Like, how long does it take them to realize they're the exact same size and they look exactly the same and are also very scary because they're identical?
They also probably have supernatural powers. When will they recognize them?
I'm just going to say, though, friend, about having twins. I don't have twins, but you just watch your back. Having two of a kind, that's a very strange phenomenon. And I'm not going to plant any things in your head, but I'm going to say, you know the old saying, Jesse, if you have twins in the house,
then the monkey's already caught the coconut. As we know, Eddie, as we know.
Alexander asked, he said, it's Pastors edition of Survivor on CBS. Which pastors would you have on each team? And bonus, who wins it all?
Oh, man. Well,
go
ahead, Eddie. Go ahead,
please,
Eddie.
please. Because I've got the
let's
trump card.
real quick. Let's do just like a fantasy draft right now.
Like a round, like a quick round.
Yeah, 2 teams. Jesse, you're picking for your team. Then Eddie, you're picking for your team. Jesse, you have first pick. Pastor, Survivor. 5 games.
Okay. Number one, I don't know if anyone's seen the shape Carl Lentz is in. I got to go with him. The guy is a workout machine. Yeah. I feel like athletically, he's got a big advantage there.
Yeah. All right.
He's number one off my board.
Eddie, your first pick.
Number 1, Rob Bell, but current Rob Bell, not 20 years ago Rob Bell.
He's not a pastor now, though. He's not a vocational pastor.
Yeah, but he would say he is, and
he's still ordained. He's still ordained,
and I'm telling you, every other pastor on the island just completely dissolves at that point. They just implode with anger. Rob Bell wins.
They all just leave the show. Okay. They don't want to be associated with him, so they just leave the show entirely. Like we can't be on the show with Rob Bell.
Jesse, pick number 2.
Okay. Well, this is someone not a pastor, but someone who speaks at a church regularly. So I'm going to let it count. Delivering incredible sermons. Our very own Annie F. Downs. Annie's so likable. Sure. I can't see anyone ever voting Annie, against Annie for anything. She's too likable. She's too likable.
All right, Eddie, your second pick.
Yeah, 100%. Dr. Brenda Salter McNeil, Quest Church, Seattle. She's been on the show. She's incredible. I have never, ever, when I locked eyes with her the first time, I realized she is 9,000 times smarter than me and is just playing on my level to be kind. If I'm going to have anybody in a mental street fight with a bunch of other pastors on an island, I take her all day long.
Wow, interesting. Okay, Jesse, your third pick.
Okay, so right now I got Carl, I got Annie. I'm coming out with...
So you've got athletic and friendly.
I've got athletic and friendly. I need someone who I feel like is
cunning.
Really, it has a bit of cunning, has some street smart, has, the prize money.
The other thing about Carl is he's super competitive. So he's that alpha male competitive. So you got competitive.
But will he play dirty? I don't know if Jesse has anybody willing to get their hands dirty.
Right. He needs
cunning.
Done. He needs cunning. Yeah.
Yeah, I do need cunning. See, I was going to go John Gray here because, this is a guy, I feel like, he's very fashionable. He's the one that everyone likes to be around. I feel like he would be hanging on to the end. He's got his own show. He buys Lambos. Like he's the guy that everyone kind of wants to hang around. I like the dynamic between Annie, John, and Carl.
Okay. All right, Eddie.
And my final choice, and I am also going with pure athleticism, and it is because I've met this person, and that's Bishop D.D. Jakes. Here's why. I shook his hand one time, and he said, "Hello, son." And both the sound of his voice and the size of his hand made me feel as though I was 2, and that I was either terrified or this was my actual dad. And so I feel like in whatever physical competition, he just shows up, everybody else walks away. At this point, we've got the ringer and Rob Bell, who's just going to dissolve them. We've got massive intellect with Dr. Brenda. And then you have Bishop Jakes, who they won't even be an obstacle course. He'll show up. They'll be done. I win.
Okay. I got one more, and maybe he should just be the host or just do the tribal council to replace Jeff because, Jeff has a catchphrase, right? The tribe has spoken, and he puts out the torch. John Piper will obviously be in charge of tribal council.
Oh, no.
Farewell, Rob Bell, and just puts out the torch and just sends him off. Like it's too good of a catchphrase for him not to be used there. Come on, guys. Come on. That's
obviously
obvious.
NT Wright. Clearly, he's the 4th on the team, but
you gotta have one British guy on there. Yeah, exactly.
And we gotta call
British
him
accent,
and we call him Tom.
Yeah.
This one wasn't a Ask the Cast, but it was a little feedback on Friday's episode where we learned the groundbreaking information that from ages 5 to 18, our very own Tyler Huckabee slept on a waterbed. He had his own waterbed.
Yeah.
Ross said, my Tyler Huckabee childhood waterbed theory, he has a theory, is that his dad bought it to surprise his mom. She wasn't into it. The Waterbed Emporium obviously has a firm no return policy, so it went to the youngest kid. Therefore, Tyler won't grow up with a waterbed. I like it. It makes sense.
I'll say this: they're definitely not taking them back. Well, the other theory is they were counterfeit water beds, and they're like, "Well, this isn't safe for an adult to sleep on. Let's just give it to Tyler, see how he fares." You know? Like, it's an Amazon, counterfeit deal where it's like, well, yeah, I feel like Tyler's got a better. He's young and spry. He's got a better sense of survival in case he wakes up and he's literally trapped underwater. We'll see how he does, because you know what they say, Tyler. The church bell rings 3 times on Sunday, only if
a girl's in the Hardy Boys.
Yeah.
only if we realize the butter's gone bad. So anyway,
yeah, clearly. There's also a bunch of sports questions. It's a lot's going on in NBA free agency. There's a lot of people asking us about that. But then I'll end it with this last question. Jorge says it's our 1-year wedding anniversary next month. We are doing the Dave Ramsey debt-free living, so we can't spend too much money, but what should we do to celebrate?
Very apropos with Rachel.
I would say go and visit your pastor immediately. There are some things happening between the two of you that we can't talk about on the air, but you need to talk to someone immediately.
It's free.
Oh my goodness.
Call your pastor. Yeah, well, studies show you should probably call up your pastor right now.
So to celebrate, they book an appointment with their pastor.
Airing of grievances.
What could be more? Yeah,
it costs nothing. It costs nothing to air grievances. That's the correct thing. Let's see how strong this marriage really is. I
would get an old tarp that you have laying around, and see if you can make a free slip inside, and then just live with the consequences.
Make a free slip inside. Have a lot of fun for the afternoon. Box it up and sell it on Amazon as a copy of The Purpose-Driven Life. It's easy. That way, you're trying to make a little money. Just cut a bunch of tarps and sell them as Christian bestsellers. People are making a fortune out there doing that kind of stuff. It's yours for the taking. And congratulations, by the way.
Happy 1 year.
Happy anniversary.
Many thanks everyone for sending in questions, tweeting us questions. If you want to send your Ask the Cast question for next Tuesday's episode, you can hit us up at Relevant Podcast on Twitter. Well, many thanks to Quip for making the episode possible. Remember, Quip starts at just $25, and if you go to getquip.com/relevant right now, you get your first refill pack for free with a Quip electric toothbrush. That's getquip.com/relevant. Thanks also to Rachel Cruze for joining us. Make sure to read more of the conversation that she was part of in the 100th issue of Relevant. You can view it right now at relevantmagazine.com. The 100th issue of Relevant. It's a big deal. Go check it out. Also, you can follow Rachel on Twitter at Rachel Cruze, Cruze, and follow her. You can probably catch her on Good Morning America as well. Okay, well, on that note, we will wrap things up. I'm Cameron Strang.
I'm Chandler Strang.
I'm Jesse Carey.
I'm Eddie Kaufholz.
I'm Tyler Huckabee.
We will see you on Friday. Have a great week, everyone.
Thank you for listening to the Relevant Podcast. If you like what you heard, be sure to leave us a review on iTunes. Check out other shows from the Relevant Podcast Network in the podcast section at relevantmagazine.com. And while you're there, browse exclusive podcast merchandise at our online store. Make sure to subscribe to Relevant Magazine. Info is available at relevantmagazine.com/subscribe.
Must have taken all night. You just need to take several seats and then try to restore the peace and control your urges to scream about all the people you hate.
Well, here's the thing. A bullfrog only croaks twice on Sunday.
Relevant Podcast Network.
Time is precious, and so are our pets. So time with our pets is extra precious. That's why we started Dutch. Dutch provides 24/7 access to licensed vets with unlimited virtual visits and follow-ups for up to 5 pets. You can message a vet at any time and schedule a video visit the same day. Our vets can even prescribe medication for many ailments, and shipping is always free. With Dutch, you'll get more time with your pets and year-round peace of mind when it comes to their vet care.
Go to Dutch.com to get vet care that is always there for just $92 a year.